Ave Maria. Hope you're all doing well. I would like to share something small about Our Lady, the Rosary, and the Old Testament. As you all know, the Old Testament is like a prophecy which was fulfilled in the New Testament. So there is what we call a type. A type is something in the Old Testament which is like a sign of something that was going to be fulfilled in the New Testament. A good example would be like Moses. We all know that Moses was a sign of Jesus. He rescued God's people from the slavery of Moses in Egypt and led his people to Canaan, or the promised land. The same way as Jesus rescued us from the slavery of sin and leads us to heaven. So there is what we call the Ark of the Covenant in the Old Testament, which was a sign of Mary, or a type of Mary, Our Lady. And this Ark of the Covenant was a wooden box. It was made out of the finest acacia wood and then overlaid with pure gold. God told Moses to make this ark in Exodus chapter 25. And this would be a place where God would talk to his people. There was a place called the Throne of Mercy. If you read Exodus chapter 25, verses 22, where God would speak to Moses in that seat between the two cherubim. Those are like angels. Moses had made two statues of angels called cherubim. And between those statues, God would talk to Moses. Now, fast forward, we look at Numbers chapter 13, verse 3. God tells Moses to send spies into Canaan to see the land and the people. And this was the report of the spies. In Numbers chapter 13, verses 28, the spies said, "The land flows with milk and honey, and the occupants are strong. The cities are great and walled, and they are giants." In fact, they said, "We look like locusts in comparison to these giants." That is Numbers chapter 13, verse 39. You can read and see. So, most of the spies gave a negative report. They were scared. They said, "We could not defeat these people. They are huge. Their cities are walled. There's no way we're going to defeat them." All except Joshua and Caleb, who said, "No, we are going to use the power of God. We shall defeat these people." So fast forward to Joshua chapter 3. We look at the crossing of the Jordan. God tells Joshua to let the priests carry the Ark of the Covenant and step into the Jordan River. And as soon as the priests carrying the Ark stepped into the waters, the water separated, and the water which was downstream continued flowing, and the water which was coming from upstream suddenly stood into a mass. And so the people crossed while the priests were still standing. And then the priests also came out, and then the water started moving normally. When the people of Canaan heard about this, they were very scared about the power of the God these people were coming with. So when Joshua sent spies into Jericho, one of the inhabitants, a prostitute called Rahab, said, "These people are all scared about your power." When everyone heard about how you crossed the river Jordan, everyone was scared. "So I'm going to hide you in my house so that when you conquer us, please spare me and my family." Then now we look at the siege of Jericho. God told Joshua that the priests would move the Ark of the Covenant once each day for 6 days. They would move around one time carrying the Ark of the Covenant. Then on the 7th day, they would move around 7 times, and then they would blow trumpets and people would shout. What happened? Jericho had thick walls. The walls were so thick that it was said a chariot could move on top of the walls. So I'm guessing that is around at least 3.5 meters. But on the seventh day, when the Ark of the Covenant had moved around 7 times, these walls suddenly crumbled. And this is the sign of the Rosary. When you're praying the Rosary, you're besieging your enemy. And remember, we have 3 enemies in this world, all of which cause sin. 1 is the devil, 2 is your own flesh, and the world. So each time you're praying the Rosary, you're moving around the walls of your enemy. And when you're done, these walls will crumble. This is a spiritual war. You're not going to see this physically. But these things were given to us as a sign. This was a word of nature. This war of Jericho was a physical war. But we are now fighting a spiritual war. So my dear brother, my dear sister, every time you're praying the Rosary, remember you're moving around the walls of your enemies. That is how the Rosary is. It is circular. When you're moving on the beads, going around, you're moving around the fortress of your enemies. And trust me, you won't see this, but you must believe it with faith. The walls of your enemy will crumble and you will have peace. So, pray the Rosary every day. Thank you very much.